Krishna is the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. But one who has no connection with Krishna is disturbed by immediate causes and cannot restrain his vision of separation or differences. When an expert physician treats a patient, he tries to find the original cause of the disease and is not diverted by the symptoms of that original cause. Similarly, a devotee is never disturbed by reverses in life. Tattenu kampam susamikshamaanaha. A devotee understands that when he is in distress, that is due to his own past misdeeds, which are now accruing reactions, although by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, these are only very slight. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. When a devotee under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to suffer because of faults in his past deeds, he passes through only a little misery by the grace of the Lord. Although the disease of a devotee is due to mistakes committed sometime in the past, he agrees to suffer and tolerate such miseries, and he depends fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he is never affected by material conditions of lamentation, jubilation, fear, and so on. A devotee never sees anything to be unconnected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Madhvacharya, quoting from the Bhavishya Purana, says, Bhagavad darshanad yasya virodhat darshanam prathak, prathak drishti savigneyo natu sadbheda darshanaha. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. This is a verse spoken by Vasudeva after Kamsa begged forgiveness for the atrocities he had committed against Vasudeva and Devaki's children. So Kamsa had some realization when he could not actually get control of the eighth child of Devaki. And he expressed his realization after begging forgiveness from Vasudeva and Devaki. And Kamsa, even though a demon, his understanding as regards the events that happened was correct. So the question may arise that he has so much realization We are not the body, we are spirit, soul. The body is completely under the control of material nature. And according to destiny, we have to suffer reactions of the past misdeeds. And directly, we can't hold anybody responsible for our suffering, even though it looks like Kamsa killed the children of Devaki, the first 6 sons of Devaki. Still, Kamsa is not directly responsible. So, to understand this fact, truth, is not easy. But nevertheless, even though Kamsa understands what is destiny, because of his demoniac nature, he will never surrender to Krishna. And consequently, because of his demoniac nature, he has to suffer in this material world, life after life after life after life. And not only is suffering for his misdeeds, but he also degrades himself life after life. So, such people of demoniac nature, they lose the valuable opportunity in the human form of life to realize the truth about the self. Demons cannot, or people of demoniac nature can never uh, realize the self, can never understand who they really are. Neither they'll be able to realize who is Krishna or who is God. So, if somebody studies the Vedic scriptures or acquires knowledge from the Vedas, even about spirit, soul, about material nature, etc., this knowledge is useless if it does not lead to surrender to Krishna. We may be engaged in so many spiritual activities as recommended in the scriptures or as taught by the acharyas, or as we get to know in satsang, in saintly association, divine association. We come to know, then we start practicing. But the practice, the learning, the blessings, all that has to lead to surrender to Krishna. And that surrender is necessarily, should be, after understanding and thoroughly getting convinced Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. This is what Vasudeva is telling here to Kamsa. Persons with a vision of differentiation are imbued with the material qualities. Shoka, Harsha, Bhaya, Dvesha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, etc. So these experiences or these qualities displayed by different people in different situations, lamentation, jubilation, or fear, bhaya, envy, matsarata, or dvesha, lobha, greed, moha, illusion, or mada, madness. All these qualities are simply due to the vision of differentiation. Prithak drishaha. What is vision of differentiation? Not being able to see every living being as not the body. They can't understand this. Nobody is actually the body, but they are the spirit soul within. And the spirit soul is a very tiny part of the Supreme Spirit, Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller of everyone, every living being. And he is also the supreme controller of material nature. He is supreme controller of the spiritual world, the material world. He is controller of everyone and everything. And he is the ultimate cause of all causes. Sarva karana karanam. So this truth, complete truth, is never realized by demons, people of demoniac nature. Why? Because they never surrender to Krishna. Never surrender to Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly explains one may follow the path of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. All are authorized, authentic methods of self-realization, of God realization. But in any case, whichever the process they follow, authorized process, it should lead to surrender to Krishna. Now, this is also clearly stated by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. If you study the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which describes Karma Yoga, towards the end of that chapter, Krishna says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. This is the 30th verse of the 3rd chapter. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, sanyasya, mai sarvani karmani sanyasya. Surrendering all your works unto me. So, surrender to Krishna. That is there. That is required in Karma Yoga. Then in Jnana Yoga, in the 7th chapter, Krishna says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. The 19th verse of the 7th chapter. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Now kindly note carefully the meaning of this verse. Of course, prapadyate means surrenders. Who surrenders to Krishna? A person who after many, many births and deaths, bahunam janmanam ante, jnanavan, he becomes actually situated in knowledge. So the translation is, after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes. Now, where is this in the Sanskrit? Knowing me to be the cause of all causes. That is stated in the verse as Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Literally, Vasudeva Sarvamiti means Vasudeva is everything. But this is not the meaning. That's not the meaning. The meaning is Vasudeva Sarvamiti means Vasudeva or Krishna is the cause of all causes, is the ultimate cause of everything. How can we understand this meaning? By studying, by reading. You cannot. Therefore, you have to learn the scriptures, the truth from a bona fide spiritual master coming in parampara. This is also told by Krishna in the 4th chapter. He describes transcendental knowledge and he says, to realize this transcendental knowledge, tadvidhi, to realize the transcendental knowledge, pranipatena, surrender, pariprashnena, inquire, submissively, pariprashnena, sevaya, and render service. To whom? To a bona fide spiritual master. Upadekshanti, then he will instruct you. Te jnanam. Jnanam means this transcendental knowledge. Why? Because he is jnaninaha. He himself has realized that transcendental knowledge. He is having that transcendental knowledge, complete knowledge. And tattvadarshinaha, he has realized that knowledge also. So only such a person can instruct you, help you realize the transcendental knowledge. Which is, the transcendental knowledge is the knowledge of the self. I am spirit soul. I am a tiny part of Krishna, the supreme spirit soul. And my relationship with Krishna is that of being an eternal servitor of Krishna. Jivera Swarup hoy, Krishnera Nityadasa. This is Swarupa. Mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavasthitihi. Mukti means liberation, ultimately means to give up all other conceptions of the self and to be situated. Hitva anyatha rupam. Rupam literally means form. But here, rupam doesn't mean just form, but different conceptions of the self. Just like in ignorance, if I am in a material body, that of a human body, I think I'm a human being. Another living entity is in a demigod's body. Then that living being thinks I am a demigod, Devata. In a dog's body, the living being thinks I am a dog. So this identifying with the body, because of which there is a conception of who I am, my identity as the body itself. And the body is of varieties, 84 lakh different varieties. So this wrong conception has to be given up. Anyatha rupam hitva. Give up all these conceptions because they're all wrong understanding, because we're not the body. The body is in the shape of a human being. Now, body means not just the external gross body, it also means the inner subtle body. What is the subtle body? The mentality, the thinking, the conception we hold about ourselves. Because my thinking is like that of a human being, therefore I got this human gross body. Another living being has got the thinking that of a like that of a dog. Therefore, it has got a dog's external form, external body. This is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Chariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati grihitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. We get a body, the next body a person gets after quitting one body, exactly according to the mentality he has developed at the time of death. So at the time of death, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejatyante kalevaram tam tame vaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. So these demons, they go on denying Krishna, or they don't surrender to Krishna. They challenge Krishna. They want to kill Krishna. They want to defeat Krishna, or they want to defy Krishna, or they conveniently say there's no God. See the demons thinking. Or this whole misconceptions, not conceptions, not correct understanding, but misconceptions, all based on different mentality. And all of them are demoniac mentality. All asuri bhava, asuri swabhava. Simply because they want to deny God, real God. So sometimes they manufacture somebody else, some other God. Oh, so and so is God. Why? Because that so-called false God is under their control. So Prabhupada says, in those days, 70s, when Prabhupada started this Krishna consciousness movement in America, 1965, 1966, he used to say that in Bengal, anytime you go, you can find at least 12 bogus incarnations. And how do these incarnations suddenly spring up? At birth, nobody is incarnation. So-called incarnation, not an incarnation at birth. Unlike the real incarnations we actually understand from the scriptures. There is no incarnation of the Supreme Lord who appears like an ordinary ordinary soul and is undetected. Always the Supreme Lord is identified as an incarnation by those who are having knowledge of the spiritual science. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam. Adhyatma jnana is required. Knowledge of spiritual science. Material science is partial understanding of the reality, incomplete understanding. So we have to have not only understanding of matter, but also of spirit. And Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, complete knowledge means knowledge of matter, spirit, and the controller of both. So, various philosophers, even if they have a correct understanding of what is matter, And yet there are other philosophers who not only know what is matter, but they also know what is spirit, the spiritual nature. But most of them, or many of them, do not know who is the controller of both spirit and matter. Absolute controller, they do not know. And it's because of their demoniac nature, Asuri Swabhava. So therefore, what Vasudeva is explaining to Kamsa, actually Kamsa cannot understand. He's intelligent. He's in knowledge also about what is spirit. But because of his demoniac nature, he will never surrender to Krishna. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Namam dushkrutino moodha prapadyante naradhama mayaya pahruta jnana asuram bhavamashrita. Asuram bhavamashrita. Asuri swabhava. Asuri bhava. Those who are of demoniac nature, they can never understand. They never surrender to Krishna. They can't understand who is Krishna and they don't surrender to Krishna. And those who are Maya apahrita jnana, though they are learned, their knowledge is lost because it is stolen away by the illusory energy. This illusory energy is the energy of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And that illusory energy is very active in the material world. And what does it do? For people who want to deny God, that illusory energy work on their consciousness, on their intelligence, and bewilder them into believing, oh, this person whom people claim as God or say is God is an ordinary person. Like Krishna, even though as a very small child, Kamsa was sending so many demons, his demonic associates, to kill this child, which apparently had escaped from his custody. So, Kamsa was sending one demon after another, one demon after another, one demon after another. But Maya apahrita jnana, he can't realize that a small child, newly born baby, infant, 10-day or 12-day-year-old infant, sucked out the life air of Putana. Putana just went with, poison breast to feed breast milk to the small child. And the child sucked out the life air. Of course, nobody can make out that a child can suck the life air out. That they cannot make out. But what is the result of Krishna being fed by Putana? Instead of Krishna being killed, Putana was killed. So how did Putana die? Even if it was a mystery for Kamsa, Kamsa sent so many demons and none of them ever returned alive, escaped. None of them ever escaped. And Kamsa is making plan after plan after plan. Just like after begging forgiveness from Vasudeva and Devaki, he released them. Then again he came to know that the child who's supposed to kill him escaped from his grip or whatever. Oh, that is actually Devaki and Vasudeva's child, a child. And he was cheated into believing some other Durga is the daughter of, appeared as a daughter of Devaki and Vasudeva, a child. Then he became so angry, again arrested Vasudeva and Devaki. So what is the value of his begging pardon, telling destiny is in control? All that is nonsense. No sense. It makes no sense. So Maya apahrita jnana. because of the demoniac mentality, which is, what is this demonic mentality? Never surrender to God, never surrender to Krishna, never surrender to real God, who's actually the controller, who's actually the well-wisher, who's actually the maintainer, who's actually the source, who's a protector, who's the supreme father, will never surrender. So, this not surrendering is the only cause for all their problems. And this is true not only for those of demoniac mentality, even those of divine nature. Until they surrender, they can never become free from material existence. They can never get out of material existence completely. So that is also explained by Krishna. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. One can get out of this illusion, influence of the illusory energy, only if they surrender to Krishna. And that surrender is possible by actually properly practicing yoga, whether karma yoga or jnana yoga. Now, jnana yoga, I read the verse which says the ultimate perfection of jnana yoga is to completely surrender to Krishna. Jnanavan mam prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti. Understanding through all that knowledge, Vedic knowledge, understanding, Krishna is the cause of all causes. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Therefore, he is the supreme absolute truth. He is the supreme Lord, supreme controller. Then in Ashtanga Yoga, it is described in the 6th chapter. Ashtanga Yoga is described. The not full details, but briefly Krishna explains how to practice Ashtanga Yoga. And in the end of this chapter on Ashtanga Yoga description, 46th verse, the last but one verse, Krishna says, Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi yanibhyopi matodhikaha karmibhyaschadiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. One who practices yoga is called yogi. But Krishna specifically says a yogi is superior, greater than the ascetic, tapasvi. Tapasvi means one who practices austerities, penances, severe austerities. So a tapasvi, if his goal is not to become a yogi, then his practice of tapasya is not going to give him the real benefit of practicing that tapasya. So tapasya, practicing tapasya should lead to becoming a yogi. Now here, let us just hear the next three things, then I'll tell you what is the real import of the word yogi. Jnanibhyopi matodhikaha. Jnani. Jnani means one who's cultivating knowledge. Specifically here in this context, it is one who's cultivating spiritual knowledge. So if one is cultivating spiritual knowledge, because this tapasvi means one who is following the path of Ashtanga Yoga, primarily Ashtanga Yoga involves practicing severe austerities. And Jnana Yoga involves cultivating spiritual knowledge, the Jnana Marga. And that also, if that jnana does not lead to one becoming a yogi, then that is also not the perfection of the cultivation of spiritual knowledge. Therefore, Krishna says the yogi is greater than the empiricist, means one who's cultivating knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Karmibhyaschadiko yogi. Karmi is a fruitive worker, a pious actor, one who performs pious activities, avoids sinful activities, and does only pious activities, punya karma. So even a punya, one is performing only punya karma, avoiding all sinful activities, but still, if he does not become a yogi, then that practice of punya is useless. So therefore, Krishna says, a yogi is greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances. Now, this word yogi is very carefully to be understood as one who actually understands what is the science of yoga. That Krishna explains in the 4th chapter, beginning, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivaswan manave praha manurikshvakave bravit. This science of yoga, I explained to the sun god millions of years back. What is the science of yoga? So, throughout the 4th chapter, Krishna explains the science of yoga. The science of yoga means the science of one's eternal relationship with the Supreme. If you carefully read Prabhupada's word for meaning and translation and purport to that first verse of the 4th chapter, Imam vivasvate yogam. Krishna says yogam. Prabhupada explains this. Yogam means, in the word for meaning, the science of one's eternal relationship with the Supreme. So, as spirit soul, all of us have an eternal relationship with Krishna. And what is that relationship? Nature of that relationship? That is eternal, and that is one of servitude. Nitya Krishna Dasa, eternally servant of Krishna, meant to simply serve Krishna. And what kind of service? Favorable service. Anukulyena Krishnanu Sheelanam. That Krishna Seva or Krishna Anushila should be Anukulya, not Pratikulya. Favorable, not unfavorable. Just like the example is given, Kamsa was always thinking of Krishna. Vasudeva was also always thinking of Krishna. But their thinking is completely different. Vasudeva was Krishnanushilanam, favorably thinking of Krishna. And Kamsa was unfavorably thinking of Krishna. His thought was, if I can get my hands on Krishna, I will immediately kill him. This is his thinking. And Vasudeva, as soon as Krishna is born, how I can protect him, how I can save him from Kamsa's atrocities. So totally opposite. Though both are thinking of Krishna. So therefore, this yoga means here, Imam Vivasvate Yogam, the science of yoga means the science of devotional service to Krishna. That's all. The science of bhakti. That's all it is. So even though Krishna is talking about karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga. So ashtanga yoga, here is telling a yogi is greater than tapasvi, jnani and karmi. But who is a yogi? That is explained here. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam. same yukta tamo mataha. Now, if by practicing karma yoga or jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga, if one doesn't come to the point of madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate. Bhajate means one who renders devotional service. And renders what kind of devotional service? Shraddhavan. Shraddha means having that transcendental faith. Shraddha shabde vishwasa kahe sudrida nischaya Krishna bhakti kaile sarva karma krutahaya. This is a definition of what is Shraddha. Shraddha is transcendental faith. It's not just faith. It's transcendental faith. And what is the transcendental faith? Simply by serving Krishna, I will achieve all perfection. All my activities will become perfect. Krishna bhakti kaile sarva karma krutahaya. This is definition of Shraddha. So this kind of Shraddha, with this Shraddha, if somebody actually renders service to Krishna, favorable service, it's also called favorable service. Madgatena, and such service should lead to Madgatena Antaratmana. That is, intimately united with Krishna through always abiding in Krishna. Gatena, Madgatena means abiding in me, always living in me, residing in me. The entire existence is in relationship with Krishna as his loving servitor, devotional servitor. So this is the meaning of surrender. Shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. So therefore, Krishna says in the end of the Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. You surrender to me alone, giving up all other varieties of activities, duties. See, in relationship with this body, there are so many prescribed duties according to the body we have got. At least in the human form of life, it is there. That is prescribed in the scriptures. But those duties are meant to bring us to the point of surrender to Krishna. So when Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja, it means that if following those prescribed duties according to your bodily situation, position, if it does not lead to surrender to me, then give up those other activities, other duties, and simply surrender to me. Mamekam sharanam vraja. Then somebody may say, if I don't do my duties, I'll incur sinful reactions. Krishna says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. In order to surrender by giving up the duties, if you are going to incur any sinful reaction, I will free you from all those reactions. Do not worry. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So, surrender is important. And if the activities which we are performing as material duties come in the way of our surrender to Krishna, we should give up those activities and directly surrender to Krishna. Directly surrender to Krishna. So, bhakti is direct surrender to Krishna. If bhakti is direct surrender to Krishna, then Krishna should have just spoken about bhakti yoga only. Why is he speaking about karma yoga? You practice karma yoga and then you surrender to Krishna. Come to the point of surrender to Krishna. You practice jnana yoga, then you come to the point of surrender to Krishna. You practice ashtanga yoga, then you come to the point of surrender to Krishna. Why not directly bhakti yoga? Because bhakti yoga is not possible for everyone to directly take up bhakti yoga, practice of bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga begins with surrender to Krishna. Preliminary surrender. Preliminary surrender. And the surrender is increased as one progresses in bhakti. Just like we are told to chant Hare Krishna. In the beginning, we may not have interest or taste, or we may not be so much committed to chanting, but still, the recommendation is some or other you chant. Just like Ajamila, he was so sinful. But still, just because he was chanting, he was calling out the name of Narayana, 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 he was saved. You see? Because the chanting of the holy name of Krishna itself, whether we like it, don't like it, whether we are qualified, unqualified, whether we are pious or impious, whether we are engaged in sinful activity or pious activity, doesn't matter. The very uttering the holy name is the beginning of surrender. It is the first point of surrender. Krishna says, Man mana, think of me always. The Prabhupada says, thinking of Krishna means always chanting Hare Krishna. He also says, Mam namaskuru, you bow down to me. Now, bowing down to Krishna, whether somebody is bowing down just because of some practice or some ritual or some etiquette or some sentiment, whatever it be, without understanding what it really means, who is Krishna, who am I, nothing, no understanding. Even then, that bowing down is the preliminary surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, if they don't bow down to Krishna, demons, they'll never bow down to Krishna. They'll never surrender to Krishna. They will never chant Krishna's name. But they are forced to bow down to Maya, material nature. When death comes, they have to bow down, quit the body. They cannot remain in the body. Whatever their acquired possessions, they have to leave and go. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. I take away everything. Hiranyakashipu, so much power he had got, but doing so much tapasya. And he challenged everybody. All the devatas, everybody. Except God. God also he was challenging, but he thought God is now hiding after I got my power. Where is God? So, when the time came, Narsimha appeared because he was torturing Narsimha's devotee, Prahlad. So then Narsimha came. At that time, what happened to his power? All his power was useless. It was useless. With just his nails, Lord Narsimha tore apart his powerful body full of so many tapashakti that he had. The most powerful of devatas, the topmost devata, Brahma, he could not stand in front of Hiranyakashipu's power. Brahma could not do anything. Nobody could do anything. None of the devatas could do anything. So, that kind of power, what happened to that power? When Narsimha appeared, it's finished. That power is over. Then again, his next birth he's going to take. The soul is not killed. Soul is going to take birth. But can he take his tapashakti with him? No. It's all finished. So everything material that we acquire in this life, that we have in our possession, even not even something physical, but even our intellectual abilities, our mental abilities, our name, fame, etc. Like people sometimes appreciate a philanthropist who helps others. But if he is a non-devotee, then all his good name, all his good work is finished with the body. After he dies, it's over, finished. So, all our material achievements, gross or subtle or whatever, everything is finished with the body. Mrityu sarva harascham. Sarva means everything, gross, physical, intellectual, mental, everything. Everything is finished. Yoga Siddhi. These yogis, non-devotional yogis, they practice Hatha Yoga and they get some siddhis. What happens to their siddhis? It is finished. Next life again they have to begin practicing asana. What is that? Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. They cannot carry forward any of those siddhis. Not possible. So therefore, all these material achievements, material possessions are finished at death. Mrityu sarva harascha. That Mrityu is actually Krishna in the form of Mrityu. Krishna in the form of Mrityu. That everybody has to bow down to death. Most powerful atheist also has to bow down to death. Atheists speak some nonsense. Where is God? There's no God. If God is there, let him come in front of me. They'll speak. And if they challenge some devotee, where is your God? I don't see any God. Can you show me God? Now I'm going to beat you. Will God protect you? And the devotee, if he's a weaker person, simply he gets beaten by this atheist, and the atheist will laugh. Where is your God? Where is your protector? Like Prahlad was also tortured by Hiranyakashipu, but Narasimha allowed some time just to prove that even though Hiranyakashipu thought that Prahlad cannot be protected by so-called God, but when the time came for Narasimha to actually say, enough is enough. You cannot keep on torturing my devotee. I'm going to stop this at once. Then finished Hiranyakashipu's all torture, all challenges silenced. So, the fact is that Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the supreme controller of all controllers. But that is not just the understanding that we should have. We should have, he is also the supreme well-wisher of everyone. We have so many well-wishers in this world. But nobody can be a well-wisher of the standard of Krishna. Krishna is supreme well-wisher. What's the proof of that? Like whoever is with you, if you say, I'm going to hell, will you come with me to hell to be my companion, to be my protector, or to be my friend? So how can I come to hell? But Krishna as Paramatma, he will go with you wherever you go, whatever your position. He'll never forsake you. Never forsake you. He'll never leave you. And Krishna provides, whether somebody is a demon or a devotee or an animal or a bird or an insect or a worm, he provides. He provides for everyone. He is the only maintainer. Eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. So, we should understand God not only as the supreme controller, supreme cause of all causes, supreme supremely powerful, but also as the supreme well-wisher. This is a secret that is revealed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He says in the 5th chapter, Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. I am the supreme enjoyer, I am the supreme uh, proprietor. But he also says, the third line, he says, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the topmost well-wisher of every living being. So when God kills demons, it is also his act as the supreme well-wisher of the demon. How is it the well-wisher when he's killing? He's killing to stop this nonsensical demon's sinful activities. What is the demon doing? Going on doing sin after sin after sin. And what is happening because of this sinful activities going on committing? He's accumulating more and more sinful reactions, for which he has to suffer so many millions of lifetimes. You can understand how dangerous it is, sinful activities. If one person is responsible for killing a cow, he has to suffer for as many millions of lives or years, not lives, as many millions of years as there are hair on the body of the cow. So, what is the kind of suffering for killing one cow? Now, what does he do? Even such a cow killer, okay? Krishna, if he actually kills this cow killer, then immediately this soul is freed from all sinful reactions, because that soul has become purified of all sinful reactions simply because of coming in contact with Krishna. Simply because of coming in contact with Krishna. Now, somebody may say they were fortunate, Krishna personally killed them. But I don't have that good fortune. I'm going to die. But not at the hands of Krishna. I may die of heart attack, some accident, even my own lifespan is over. I have to leave the body, even if there is no other cause like that. So how will I actually get purified? By contact with Krishna. So for that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you got a tongue, you vibrate the tongue and say, Hare Krishna. Your tongue, that means you are coming in contact, because you are the one who is vibrating the tongue. Even though the tongue is actually vibrating and producing that sound of Hare Krishna, you are the one who's choosing to vibrate the tongue and say Hare Krishna. So since you have vibrated your tongue, you have come in contact with Krishna, because Krishna is present as the name, holy name on your tongue. And that is completely spiritual vibration. And that spiritual vibration is Krishna himself in the form of the sound Hare Krishna. So simply you vibrate the tongue and say Hare Krishna. You are actually coming in contact with Krishna. Coming in contact with Krishna means your sinful reactions are all completely wiped out. This is Krishna's mercy appearing as the holy name. This is extreme mercy. Extreme mercy. So who cannot be in contact with Krishna? Everyone can, because everyone has got a tongue. They vibrate a tongue and say so many things. So saying all those things, just say Hare Krishna. That's all. Merely you have to chant. That's all. That is enough. But then our misfortune is, by association with this material world, over very long period of time, we have developed what is called as a mentality to go on committing sinful activities one after another, one after another, one after another. This is called the sinful tendency. What is it called? Sinful tendency. So after I chant Hare Krishna, or after I take bath in the Ganga river, or after I eat prasadam, or after I have darshan of Krishna, immediately having darshan of Krishna means your sinful reactions are completely purified, nullified. But then next moment again I commit sinful activity. Because I have the tendency to commit sin after sin after sin after sin. So this sinful tendency also has to completely be destroyed. So destroying the sinful tendency is only possible by awakening your bhakti. By awakening your bhakti. There is no other way. And that awakening of bhakti can happen only if you chant Hare Krishna or have darshan of Krishna, do some practice of bhakti along with surrender to Krishna. Along with surrender to Krishna. That I want you. I want to take shelter of you. I want your protection. I want to come close to you. I want to revive my relationship with you. I have forgotten you. I want to revive my memory of you. This is surrender. So surrender actually means re-establishing our lost relationship with Krishna. By all these activities, we should come closer and closer to Krishna. Which means that we have to distance ourselves from everything material that we are attached to, that we have wrongly thought is mine, or is meant for my good, or is meant for my happiness, or is meant for my welfare. All those things you have to give up. Mukti hitva anyatha rupam. All these conceptions, wrong conceptions of these material arrangements and material relationships and material possessions and material welfare activity and material big material plan making. Oh, we'll eliminate all polio. A very noble aim. Yes, people do suffer because of polio disease. Nobody should get this polio disease. So they thought that when a child is born, it is given some polio drops. Then it is said that once they take that drops of polio vaccine or whatever, then that vaccine, the effect of that vaccine will last a whole lifetime. So then they will never again contact that polio, whatever disease. Very noble thing. But what they don't realize is polio the only reason why people are suffering? No. That is one point. Okay. Second point, in spite of that, okay, let them not suffer out of polio, even if they get other type of suffering. Why should they suffer out of polio? Okay. Let's give everybody polio drops. Now, this vaccine, is it the only reason why somebody has not taken vaccine, therefore they contact polio disease? No. Vaccine is actually a kind of intermediate remedy or intermediate cause. Lack of the vaccine is an intermediate cause for somebody to contact a disease. The ultimate cause is that person's own sinful deed, papa karma. So until that papa karma, for which the person has to suffer the reaction in the form of some disease or something, until that is nullified, the papa karma, the disease cannot be counteracted. That's also what Vasudeva is telling here. They are influenced by the immediate cause. I'm suffering because I have got some disease. So immediate cause is my suffering is my disease. So they are busy counteracting this disease. Let's eliminate disease. Let's cure disease. Let's find a cure for the disease. Let's find the cause of the disease. Immediate cause again, not remote cause. So remote cause is important. Just like a good doctor will not simply treat symptoms, will go to the root cause of the symptoms and treat the actual root cause. Similarly, the root cause of all our suffering is not the immediate causes, but the remote cause, our own sinful activities. And the sinful activities are due to what? The sinning mentality. We always have a choice. We can either perform a sinful activity or a pious activity. But why do we choose sinful activity instead of pious activity? That is because of our sinful tendency. That sinful tendency, what is the form of this sinful tendency? The desire to enjoy materially. This is the sinful tendency that we have. So give up this nonsense material enjoyment and also give up the desire to enjoy materially. And the desire to enjoy materially is manifest in so many millions of ways. How many ways people try to enjoy materially? You can't even count. Enjoy this way, that way, this game, that particular, some other. We got five senses, and most importantly, we have got a mind beyond the five senses, above the five senses. So the senses, there's a limit how many ways and how much you can satisfy. But the mind, is there a limit to satisfying the mind? All kinds of crazy concoctions? No, there's no limit. So this is the danger of the desires for material enjoyment. Very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. So this desire for material enjoyment can be completely given up only if you get a little taste of what is spiritual pleasure. What is spiritual pleasure? Now, why are we after material pleasures? Because we have lost what is that spiritual pleasure. We don't know what is spiritual pleasure. We've forgotten spiritual pleasure. So that spiritual pleasure Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving, he's telling you can get the spiritual pleasure. You simply vibrate your tongue and say Hare Krishna. So somebody will say, I said Hare Krishna, I didn't get any pleasure. So for that, Srila Rupa Goswami says, it's just like a jaundiced patient. Because of the jaundiced condition, if you give him sugar candy, he places on the tongue, he will taste it as bitter. But that sugar candy, if he keeps on taking, that sugar candy, even though it tastes bitter, if he somehow takes it, it will counteract the disease, jaundice. And as he gradually becomes free from this jaundiced condition, his sweet taste of candy will be revived. Similarly, in the beginning, if we chant Hare Krishna, we don't experience a sweet taste, we don't get any spiritual pleasure. But merely chanting will eradicate the root cause of this suffering, which is the Bhava Roga. Material existence itself. Bhava means material existence, which is the desire for material enjoyment. That itself will be completely counteracted gradually. It takes time. It takes time. So keep on chanting, 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 chanting. And as the disease is cured, the cure is happening, you will see a reduction in your material desires. Example, the devotees of ISKCON, first time they come in contact with Krishna consciousness, they're told to chant Hare Krishna, they start chanting Hare Krishna, they start losing interest in all these nonsensical material enjoyments. No interest in watching TV. Parents become alarmed. Oh, my son started going to ISKCON. He's losing interest in watching TV. Something is going to happen to him. He's going to become mad. Pagal ho jayega. He'll become a crazy fellow. He'll leave home and go away. So the parents sometimes, out of ignorance or whatever, anxiety for the child, they'll prevent the child from chanting Hare Krishna, from going to attend satsang. You see? Though their intention may be I'm the well-wisher of my child, but they have a misunderstanding of what is ISKCON, what is chanting, what is the cause of ignorance about what is the real cause of all suffering. They do not know this. So we have to do the job of educating people also, not only giving them this medicine, but also educating them how this medicine works. So this medicine works by, first of all, eradicating, I'll stop. Eradicating this disease gradually. So in the beginning, Hare Krishna will not give you pleasure, but at least it will counteract that bhava roga, which is the very cause of your suffering, root cause of your suffering. And as the disease gets eradicated, you become enlightened, you start experiencing real happiness. You get a small taste of it in the beginning. And then when that taste, you get even a little taste, then all the material pleasures will be like bitter poison. In the illusion, state of illusion, poison is like sweet and nectar. But in the enlightened state, poison is tasted as poison only, is understood as poison, realized as poison. And therefore, they'll give up poison and you'll actually go for the real nectar. So in the under state of illusion, nectar will taste like poison. Poison will taste like nectar. But when you become enlightened, when you become realized, when you become purified, nectar will taste like nectar. Poison will be tasting like poison. So you'll automatically give up poison. Nobody has to tell you, nobody has to convince you, nobody has to guide you, nothing. Automatically you'll give up. So this is the reason why you directly take up bhakti. These other processes are gradual processes. And in this age, it has been simplified, taking up bhakti. Even faithless people, somehow they chant Hare Krishna, somehow they take prasadam, somehow they come and have darshan of deity. Then they will develop the faith also. And they will become completely cured and purified of the material disease. I'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.